All right, everyone, good morning, and it's good to be back here again this morning. Another day, another week, and I wish you all a profitable day as well as week. I am Nancy in Nigeria, and this is Moneyline with Nancy. Global oil prices have retreated following the de-escalation of tensions in the Middle East, and under normal circumstances, that should signal some relief for Nigerian motorists as well as consumers. But at the pump, prices have hardly moved. So what really determines the cost of petrol in Nigeria today? Is it global crude oil prices that as soon as it goes up, pump prices are adjusted? Is it the exchange rate that has been quite stable, refining costs, or market dynamics? And that is just the start of our conversation at this morning. We'll also assess the political economic temperature because so many things are ongoing right now. Whether financial markets are endorsing or questioning the current policies, the implications of rising government borrowing, which I've been talking about here for a while, inflation numbers still trending upwards, the cost of living reality for Nigerians, Tinubunomics in 3+ years, President Tinubu's economic reforms, 1 year after the new tax laws were signed. If you watched the show on Friday, I dealt with 1 year after of the new tax laws. But we'll continue to look at that conversation, especially from the private sector lens. Companies are supposed to be paying those taxes. And whether also the capital market can sustain its reforms or its momentum. My guest is Johnson Chukwu, the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Carry Asset Management. He will join me in a moment to take a look at that. Join the conversation. Subscribe to our Moneyline with Nancy TV on YouTube. Follow us across all our social media platforms. But first, let's keep you up to speed with what's in the news. The federal government has signed a concession agreement to implement the Smart National Transport Data Bank project. The initiative will integrate real-time data across road, rail, aviation, maritime, inland waterways, and pipelines. The project is expected to strengthen transport planning, enhance security, support infrastructure development, and improve data-driven decision-making across the country. Moving ahead, let's tell you that at a management retreat for agencies under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole said the government will step up efforts to expand trade, attract investment, boost national non-oil exports, and strengthen industrial growth. She added that the focus is on turning policy into measurable economic results through effective implementation. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, says it is investigating possible consumer exploitation in the downstream petroleum sector. The executive vice chair of the FCCPC, Tunji Bello, says while marketers quickly increase pump prices when crude oil rises, they have been slow to reduce prices despite the recent drop in global oil costs. The National Revenue Service says taxpayer education remains key to strengthening voluntary tax compliance 1 year after Nigeria's tax reforms took effect. Speaking just a few days ago, the agency said the reforms are driving a more transparent, technology-driven tax system to boost revenue mobilization and national developments. All right, we'll move quickly to other markets now as we'll see how The markets are shaping up today, also taking a cue from perhaps what happened last week. And we'll begin with the money market, especially where liquidity remained comfortable throughout the week. That's talking about last week, although it eased slightly towards the close of last week. And we saw interbank funding conditions were largely stable, with the NOFA holding steady at about 22%, suggesting that short-term liquidity conditions remained well anchored across the financial system. Over in the fixed income market, we saw investor attention being dominated by central banks' OMO auction and the federal government bond sale. And demand for the OMO auction was robust last week, with subscriptions far exceeding the amount on offer as investors continue to lock in attractive short-term yields. And at the same time, Treasury bills and bond yields move higher as the market repriced government securities amid expectations that elevated interest rate could persist for longer. In the Euro bonds market, sentiment remained cautious and investors kept a close watch on developments in the Middle East, while we are taking a look at particularly the fragile ceasefire between the United States and Iran, while a stronger U.S. inflation data reinforced expectations that the Federal Reserve could maintain a tight monetary policy stance. And that combination pushed Eurobond yields higher during the week. In the foreign exchange markets, where is it now? In the foreign exchange market, we saw that the Naira weakened slightly against the dollar at the official window, reflecting continuing demand pressures in the FX market. The Naira weakened to about 1,000. It's been within that band, 1,300-ish, as it were. All right, on the Nigerian exchange, the market closed lower. We saw investors taking profit following recent gains. Despite the weekly decline last week, the NGX continues to deliver, I would say, somewhat impressive year-to-date performance, with banking stocks remaining a key source of investors' interest. And the all-share index finished at 232,049.02 points on Friday. The year-to-date return stands at about 49% now. We do know that at the time, the year-to-date return was at around 55%. That's the return year-to-date, the overall market from January till now, but it's still hovering within that band. But as of last week, it came down to about 49%. So you're seeing numbers as of Friday from the Nigerian exchange, but the market started trading earlier on today at about 9 a.m. And let's see what happens. But let's move to global markets now, where investors are balancing improving geopolitical sentiment, very fragile one, against persistent inflation concerns. U.S. equity futures traded higher earlier today. Asian markets mostly advanced. European stocks were mixed this morning, while in the commodities market, Brent crude is trading above $72 a barrel as traders are still monitoring what is happening in the Middle East. Last week, Brent crude fell to about $70.69. So as you can see right here on the screen, $72 a barrel just a moment ago. Natural gas at $3.2, cents. Coal at about $143, while gold prices are easing on expectations that U.S. interest rates could remain higher for longer as we enter a new trading week today. And investors will be watching global geopolitical developments, U.S. labor market data, central bank signals, and domestic fixed income issuance for further direction across financial markets this week. So that's what we have for you for now. Let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, we will continue the program. Do stay with us. Don't forget to join us on all our social media platforms. On YouTube, in case you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that right away. You can do that at Moneyline with Nancy TV and African Independent TV. We'll be right back after this break.
Nigeria has survived everything, not because we are lucky, but because in the hardest moment, when the news breaks and the grip is wrong, someone somewhere makes a choice.
To confirm before spreading panic. To empathize rather than assign blame. To hold when everything inside said, who?
For terrorism is not only the attack that sparks our outrage. Terrorism is also the choices that follow, the ones that feed division and erode the bonds of nationhood and patriotism that hold us together as Nigerians.
Let us choose to defeat terror, one division at a time. Take a pause. Choose Nigeria.
Let's all unite against terror.
I don't know if you listened to my intro, and
I did.
Okay.
I did,
was that a bit of justice to what the NOFR is, or what it's supposed to, or what people like us are supposed to be looking at, and what it should achieve?
You got it pretty well, Nancy.
Okay.
The Nigerian overnight financing rate is our new benchmark overnight rate. We launched it on the 1st of June, but we actually started calculating it and publishing it in April. It's supposed to replace what we had before, the OPR. We had the open repo rate.
Open repo rate. So nothing like
you
open
also called
repo.
the OBB.
OBB,
OBB
yes.
was renamed OPR.
OPR.
And then the OPR remains. We continue to publish it. If you go to the CBN website, you see the OPR, because there are several transactions that were made with it, and some people still use it. But we thought to replace it with the NOFA. The NOFA is a transaction-based rate, unlike the OPR that was contributed. Contributed means that the administrator of that rate would ask banks, how much would you lend out X amount of money?
I don't know if you listened to my intro, and
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Was that also wondering who should have the final word on this tax implementation? The finance minister, Taiwo Oyedele, has brought up this tax. Was that tax transition guideline, was it explanatory enough when you read it?
It was simple, clear, unambiguous.
That this filing should go back prior, because I read it.
Absolutely. It was clear and in line with Section 144, if I'm not mistaken, of the Tax Act itself. It was clear, unambiguous, simple, and direct. And that was the reason why we went to press to commend the prompt release. But we believe strongly that conversation is going on. We've engaged constructively, and we want to believe that hopefully before the end of today, if I'm not too ambitious with my optimism, before the end of today, we'll get that clarity that we so much desire.
Because June 30 is just a few days' time, which is...
Absolutely.
Because I'm wondering who the final word should rest with. Is it Taiwo Oyedele? Is it NRS? Because Taiwo Oyedele oversees NRS.
NRS, absolutely.
Or is it now the presidency that you've now gone to meet as a last resort?
Absolutely. Whatever happens...
And is the president that sent Taiwo Oyedele?
Whatever happens, as you mentioned rightly so, there will always be implementation issues.
What specific vulnerabilities do you think that the regulator is trying to address?
Yeah, permit me to even start from, before I come to this question you asked, the very germane issue you raised, during the introduction. Yes, quite germane, and yes, your program is on the economy, but of course, you can't delink the economy from, security. Yes, the primary objective of government is to provide, security for lives and property, but it's also to also ensure the welfare of the citizens, and the two are connected. Once you deal with the issue of insecurity, you can be sure that the economy will also naturally pick up. The issue of food inflation, for example, will drop because farmers will be able to go to farms. The issue of the quality of inflows, capital inflows, will also be addressed because foreign investors will be more interested in the permanent capital, the one that stays, as opposed to the hot money or portfolio inflows. So you can go on and on. And back to the question you asked.
In today's global economy, information is everywhere, but insight is rare.
Because of the high rate of fuel, the cost of commodities, cost of everything in this country is high.
This is unacceptable because Nigerians cannot be made to suffer every time.
So, where do you turn for clarity? The right questions.
What is in need for Nigerians? Let's really break it down. Income strata wise, revenue strata wise for companies. What are some of the inhibitions that are not making trade work for all?
The real answers.
Stimulus package must take a different shape beyond what we have seen in sharing of rice, sharing of money.
Nancy brings it to you on Moneyline with Nancy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy.
Clear, well-researched conversations focused on what truly impacts you.
Is it that we don't know the number of MSMEs we have in the country, or we don't know where they are?
I don't think we can identify 40-something million MSMEs. The people are not saying.
Nigeria has the policy framework in place to be a leader on this approach. You can make farmers bankable.
Moneyline with Nancy now airs 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Weekdays, live on AIT and online. If it matters to the economy, join us.
Welcome to Moneyline with Nancy. Of course, this is the trusted source for in-depth conversation on finance, the economy, and everything in between. I am Nancy Naji.
The Abuja Treaty foresees that we have to adopt as Africa a linear model of integration of our market. We foresee, in terms of the agreement, that Africa one day will be a customs union.
That's a great question, Nancy. So you have basically two pillars here. There are things that you must do now because you are in an emergency situation. You have to provide helping hands to those who cannot cope anymore. The extreme poor people who cannot really afford to have food on their table. There is no time to wait for the perfect plan for them. You need to provide support immediately for them.
If the world wants to be more resilient, they need to deconcentrate supply chains and locate them. And why not? Relocate them in those regions that didn't have them in the first place. If you want to build resilience, it's not concentrating them again in another country.
How can you move your goods from point A to point B and demand? So it's also us educating our businesses, advocacy, the courage to trade, the courage. Nigerians have it.
I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be. I'm going to change that you want to see.
In today's global economy, information is everywhere, but insight is rare.
Because of the high rate of fuel, the cost of commodities, cost of everything in this country is high.
This is unacceptable because Nigerians cannot be made to suffer every time.
So, where do you turn for clarity? the right questions,
What is in need for Nigerians? Let's really break it down. Income strata wise, revenue strata wise for companies. What are some of the inhibitions that are not making trade work for all?
the real answers.
Stimulus package must take a different shape beyond what we have seen in sharing of rice, sharing of money.
Nancy brings it to you on Moneyline with Nancy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy.
Clear, well-researched conversations focused on what truly impacts you.
Is it that we don't know the number of MSMEs we have in the country, or we don't know where they are?
I don't think we can identify 40-something million MSMEs. It's equivalent as a country.
Nigeria has the policy framework in place to be a leader on this approach. You can make farmers bankable.
Moneyline with Nancy now airs 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Weekdays live on AIT and online. If it matters to the economy, join us.
I don't know if you listened to my intro, and
I did.
Okay.
I did,
Was that a bit of justice to what the NOFR is, or what it's supposed to, or what people like us are supposed to be looking at, and what it should achieve?
You got it pretty well, Nancy.
Okay.
The Nigerian overnight financing rate is our new benchmark overnight rate. We launched it on the 1st of June, but we actually started calculating it and publishing it in April. It's supposed to replace what we had before, the OPR. We had the open repo rate.
Yeah, open repo rate. So nothing like
you also
open
called
repo.
the OBB.
OBB, yes.
OBB was renamed OPR.
OPR.
And then the OPR remains. We continue to publish it. If you go to the CBN website, you see the OPR, because there are several transactions that were made with it, and some people still use it. But we thought to replace it with the NOFA. The NOFA is a transaction-based rate, unlike the OPR that was contributed. Contributed means that the administrator of that rate would ask banks, how much would you lend out X amount of money?
I don't know if you listened to my intro, and
I did.
Okay. Was that also wondering who should have the final word on this tax implementation? The finance minister, Taiwo Oyedele, has brought up this tax. Was that tax transition guideline, was it explanatory enough when you read it?
It was simple, clear, unambiguous.
That this filing should go back prior, because I read it.
Absolutely. It was clear and in line with Section 144, if I'm not mistaken, of the Tax Act itself. It was clear, unambiguous, simple, and direct. And that was the reason why we went to press to commend the prompt release. But we believe strongly that conversation is going on.
All right, welcome back to the program. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're looking at the trending issues, so many trending issues. Let's see if we can address a few of them. Johnson Chukwu is joining me right now. He's the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Carry Asset Management. Chief Chukwu, what will I say? Good morning, welcome. You had to come out of your management meeting quickly to speak with me. Thank you. The new memo is that Moneyline with Nancy is at 10 a.m. right now. So I'm saying it publicly again so that you will know. We are no longer 11 a.m. You know, I know you're used to 11 a.m. as well as our other viewers, but we'll structure the timing. You have political platform at 9, Kakaki at 6 to 9, political platform at 9 to 10, and Moneyline with Nancy 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So you'll be speaking with me moving on from 10 a.m. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Sister Nancy, Chief Sister Nancy, for having me. So you have become like England. You have shifted your time 1 hour ahead of 1 hour backward. So you are now from 11, you are now 10 a.m.
Yes, yes. I'm now 10 a.m. So everyone should take note. Thank you very much, Chief Chukwu. So let's get started. The big story, of course, that captured global attention February 26 or February 27, is that of the Middle East crisis involving the U.S., Iran, later Israel, and some other shenanigans that we saw within that space. And that quickly also reminded us how geopolitics affects markets pricing no matter where you are. Just a few days ago, we saw some kind of cheering news from the region and from the United States that a ceasefire will be done. Though we are getting skirmishes of whether it is or it is not. But here in Nigeria, we're expecting that lower crude prices should reflect at the pump, and yet it has not been translated into lower pump prices yet. Is this now, why actually, let me start from there, because in Nigeria, things go up, they don't come down. Even when market forces bring things down, there are no market forces here when it comes to downward prices in the country. So why is that? And talk to me about, is it less about the price of crude or about the structure of Nigeria's downstream market right now?
Well, there are multiple factors, and I'll talk about three. One is the crude market is very volatile today. I'm sure you are aware that shooting resumed yesterday. The U.S. attacked Iran and said they have destroyed some Iranian arsenals, and Iran attacked two of the Gulf states where U.S. has its military base. And Donald Trump threatened that he's going to annihilate Iran. I'm sure you're aware of that. So we're dealing with a very volatile political environment. Traders are conscious of the fact that a couple of things are not predictable. So maybe at times they will hold back from adjusting prices if they think the drop in price is very temporary, and they think it would not remain low as to allow time for replacement of stock. If, for instance, you have a beep in price movement, crude price movement, and marketers, including the refineries, feel that it's temporary, they may hold back adjusting their prices. That's one factor. The second factor is the structure of the Nigerian downstream sector. Today, we have a market maker in the form of Dangote Refinery. Dangote, from the report from NMDPRA, accounted about 80 billion of the domestic supply of petroleum products. So that makes them a market maker. So it then means that every other operator in the market will wait for their lead. And then that lead will be that if Dangote drops price materially, because they are dominant market player, then every other operator in the market will adjust their price to be in tandem with Dangote's prices, because without that, you won't be able to sell. And that's what you have when you have a market maker, a person, an individual entity that dominates the market. Every other person queues and waits for their direction. So that's the second factor. The third factor is that all market operators, that is, aside from the entire value chain of the downstream refinery, depot owners, retail outlets, will do everything to minimize locking in losses. Because you would have had products in tank, products in your for starting from Dangote, that they at the top of the value chain. They would have bought crude at high prices. They find the crude, and then the price had dropped precipitously. So if they drop their prices at the same rate at which prices have dropped, they're going to lock in huge losses. So they may decide to drop their price gradually. Then that also applies to depot owners and retail outlets who had stocked up products at higher costs, and prices have dropped. So they are doing everything to moderate the losses we have to absorb. So I think those are the three factors that account for the slow drop in prices of refined petroleum products in the economy.
Should we expect lower prices soon? And I like what you talked about, because describing Dangote Refinery now as a market maker, even though, is an operator an operator within that space, but Dangote Refinery as a company is a market maker. What are the risks surrounding that? And do you think that because of the risks surrounding the market maker thing that we're seeing around Dangote now, even though that we've seen Dangote Refinery bring down gantry prices in recent time, take it up, bring it down, what are the risks, and what does that tell us about the deregulation in the space which everyone clamored for at the time?
Okay, the risk of having a dominant operator, which for me is a transition period for the country, because I know there are also other refineries being constructed, but today, and it has happened everywhere in the world, the AT&T used to be the sole dominant player in telecommunications in America. We've had Standard Petroleum was dominant market player in America at some point. But the thing about Nigeria's situation, we also know that it's a temporary situation in the sense that other refineries are being built. So what happens when you have a market player, a market maker, a dominant player in the market? The dominant player will do everything to be a benevolent oligarchist or monopolist, because this is not the monopolist. At best, a dominant maker, because the other operators are fragmented, are small. So it has to be a benevolent market. Markets are not driven by possibility of other interest of the end users or consumers. And I think that's what Dangote is trying to be, because given their dominant position, if they want to rub salt on the country, they would, but I don't think they're doing that. They are conscious and they are dropping their prices, but they will drop their prices also aware that a certain rate of price drop will lead to major losses on their own part, and no business is set up to make losses. But the key question you asked, that are there risks with having a dominant market maker in any economy? Yes. The risk is that if the dominant market maker is not benevolent, that dominant market maker may take advantage of its position because it determines the price levels. Whatever it does, the others are going to queue up behind him or her to be able to play in the market. Because every other person's volume is inconsequential compared to the volume of the market maker.
Mr. Chukwu, are you concerned about what is beginning to happen in that space? We may say that, okay, we're in a transition process in terms of our downstream sector. But are you concerned, and how worried are you that this may turn out like the cement space? And I'm asking this question because we see a Dangote, for example, in the cement, Bois, and a few others. Was it last week or a few days ago that the minister, yes, I think it was last week, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, talked about that they need to meet with the cement manufacturers because their prices are too much and it's not favorable. If you take a look at the cement, majority of what they get is from here. So why would a bag of cement at this time be like 12,000 or whatever, between 10 or 13,000 or thereabout? So are you worried that the same thing would happen within the space if it is not curtailed now? Because of course, refineries are still coming on board. Government, according to NNPC Limited, has signed MOU with the Chinese. We've not gotten the full details yet as to that. Some other refineries are coming or private owned. But whenever we have the environment now fuller, apart from Dangote, are you worried that we will have more market makers, just like we have market makers in the cement industry? And the government is saying, guys, you guys need to bring it up. But they are not even listening. Because I remember in the heat of the cost of living crisis in 2024, or 2023, 2024, they also went to meet the president. The president spoke something about cement and building and all, yet nothing was done.
Okay, what I would say is that if the government thinks we have an imperfect market in the cement industry, the government has to take measures to make sure that does not repeat in the downstream petroleum industry. One of the things that happened in the cement industry, if you cast your mind back, is that the government measures frustrated a lot of other entrants. There was Ego Cement, there was Ibeto Cement, a couple of them that could not, that were discouraged by government actions and government policies. And I know in case of Ibeto Cement, I can give a case study on it. But that is what it is. So in the case of the midstream and downstream sector of the Nigerian oil and gas sector, the government should encourage, beyond the big operators, you also allow for small-scale operators. Bear in mind that in the oil and in the refining industry, you have modular refineries, and some of the modular refineries are operating. And if the government encourages modular refineries using fiscal incentives to operate efficiently and profitably, then you're going to have modular refineries become dominant market players within their areas of operation where they are located, because cost of transportation in the oil and gas sector is very expensive. If you have a modular refinery, for instance, in Benin, Edo State, like we have, and they are cracking all the products, including fuel, PMS, then it will be cheaper for you if you're in Edo State to buy from them, and because they're just distributing a few kilometers away from their refinery. So that way, it will allow for competition. The key thing is that government must ensure in every market that there is free entry and free exit, there is free pricing, there is competitive pricing, and that customers or consumers are not exploited. And for that to happen, you must have multiple players, multiple suppliers, as you have multiple sources of demand. Without that, once you allow for oligopolistic market structure, then you may not have competitive pricing for the commodity that is at stake. And if the government thinks we have an oligopolistic structure in the cement industry, it should ensure that we use the right policies to incentivize small-scale producers, modular refineries, to establish and operate efficiently using fiscal policies and remain competitive, so that the consumers do not suffer unfair pricing.
Do you think that the FCCPC has enough teeth to bite when it's saying that it's warning against exploitative prices already? Do you think it's having enough teeth to bite when it hasn't done that in cement, for example, and in some other sectors to avoid price gouging? Do you think it will succeed now with a press release that came out from the agency?
What we know is that agencies of government are not able to take on market operators if they don't have the assurance of government behind them. So if the downstream sector against price gouging, against exploitative pricing, there must be somebody that told them, go ahead, we are behind you. Without the backing of government, agencies are weak. Some of the agencies that perform creditably
without the backing of government, the agencies, are they not government? Sorry to cut you short, Mr. Chukwu or Chief Chukwu. Yes, the agencies themselves are government now. Is it not? Is it President Tinubu that will come and
yes,
the agencies are government, just like what we're seeing now. The tax transition guidelines. NECAB, large businesses are saying that they don't have a direction as to the new tax laws. They now have to write directly to the president. Meanwhile, Taiwo Oyedele has brought out guidelines. NRS is not obeying it. And they're saying now it's President Tinubu. So the agencies are government itself.
Okay, the agencies are representative of the government. The agents heads are representative, are serving at the pleasure of the president. I repeat myself. The heads of ministerial agencies are serving at the pleasure of the president. So sometimes they look at the president's body language. Sometimes they need direct assurance from the presidency, from the president himself to say, look, I am behind you. Because there is, in an economy as diverse as Nigeria, there's a lot of pushback when you take action that impinge on people's comfort or people's source of income or revenue. So when you are a government regulatory agency and you're going to take on institutions like downstream operators, the refineries, the depot owners, we are solidly behind it because you really can't take on these entities on your own. We know agency leaders, heads of agencies that have lost their jobs because they took on wars, confronted entities that they had no capacity to challenge. Nancy, we are living witnesses to that. So reality remains that for some difficult task, you need the assurance of the presidency that the announcements you're going to make, they will back you up with the force of the government.
Okay. Let's move to another area which has been dominating the media and is going to dominate till next year. How do you describe the current political economy temperature? And I'm asking what domestic and foreign investors are paying closest attention to right now. Is it politics? Is it policy consistency? Or is it macroeconomic fundamentals with all this going on ahead of 2027 elections?
I think they're looking at all those factors you just mentioned. Policy consistency, I think the government to a large extent have been consistent with their policies. Reform policies, issues around, the government has not pulled back despite criticisms of some of the economic policies. They have remained faithful to the positions they've taken or the transformations or they have pronounced and are implementing. So investors are looking at the capacity of the government, the backbone, that whether the government has a strong backbone to remain faithful to their policies. Two, they are also looking at the impact of those policies on the Nigerian citizens, including the loss of consumer power, which has constrained real sector investment. We have not seen real sector investment in the country. So they are also looking at that. If you look at the total capital importation, it was only about 350 million that came in the first quarter. That was foreign direct investment, just about 1.3% of the total capital inflow we had. So we're not seeing foreign direct investment because they're also looking at the ability of Nigerian households to consume, which has not improved, which has deteriorated. And then they are looking at the policy environment, the monetary policy environment. We've seen a lot of appetite for Nigeria's debt instruments because of the policy environment, improved FX liquidity, ease of assessing FX, stability in exchange rates, until recently declining inflation rate, which unfortunately has reversed because of the war. So they are looking at all those factors and they are putting all them in the box and weighing the box to know where it is. Then the political environment is very critical. They are concerned that the political environment is being constricted. And when it's constricted, the concerns are you wouldn't know where the energies of the people will flow to. Because when you constrict political expression and political choices, the tendency is that it's like a stream. When you dam a stream, it will flow somewhere. It either flows backward or finds another route to flow because you can't stop water from flowing. So this are looking at all those things.
So Mr. Achikwu, should I take that as a political risk already being priced in by the markets, or is it too early to call?
No, it's building up. I mean, the campaigns are supposed to start maybe August or so, and the uncertainties are building up every day. So it's clearly any investor will consider that, and if that trend continues, you may see a slowdown in even capital inflow into the country, pending when the election is concluded.
Okay, we'll continue to watch that as it goes. But let's take a look at inflation. Yes, let's take a look at inflation. The MPC meeting for July would hold in the next few weeks, but I'm taking a look at the headline inflation numbers that came out from the NBS just recently for the month of May, yes, if I'm not mistaken, yes, which showed us the third straight monthly increase. At the last MPC meeting, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, referenced that as externally induced. So if the Middle East shock is seemingly unwinding, and let's see what happens, as it were, and we continue to see oil prices downside, should we expect inflation to ease, or has inflation peaked at this level? Should we expect inflation to ease perhaps in June, in July, or has the damage already worked in a way through the food and transport segment, through the food and transport basket? Has it worked in a way that damage is permanent? Yeah.
No, I don't think it's permanent. We saw inflation moderate materially before the war started, and we're back to about 15.69. 93% from our 15.69% the preceding month. So if those factors that drove inflation up begin to reverse, the core of which is energy cost. If the peace accord holds and the war ceases and the Strait of Hormuz is fully opened, and we now have a crude price in the 60s level, within the next 2 months, the local prices will adjust appropriately. And if our local prices adjust appropriately, we should expect that even transport costs will also moderate. Like Nigeria, I say whatever goes up doesn't come down, but it may not moderate to the pre-war level, but it's going to moderate. And one of the things about if you have competition, then it will go back to the previous level, which is why I talk about free market environment. So there's nothing that's happened that structurally changed because of the war, that structurally changed inflation basis that it cannot reverse. The other thing we have to bear in mind is the issue of food inflation. We've seen imported food prices start going up, contrary to the preceding months, where imported food prices were low because of the zero duty the government allowed for importation of food items. And then we must also be able to ensure that local food production improves, because that's the most sticky part of our inflation today, and that is also the most painful or most impactful to average household food prices. And the only way we can address that on a permanent basis, on an enduring basis, if we address the issue of insecurity and then allow for food production to resume in all parts of the country. Ordinarily, at this season, at this period in time, we should see lower food inflation, because we have a lot of food items that are available by this time of the year. Corn, by the time we have corn, which ordinarily the prices are able to drive down the price of almost grains. And then because of switching consumption, you see the price of even tuber also drop at around this time. And by August, the new yams will come into the market. In fact, by July, new yams is coming to the market, which should also further depress food prices. So we should expect material moderation in the inflation rate if the price of crude adjust downwards, as we have witnessed the past few days.
Mr. Chukwu, 1 year of the tax reforms, 1 year of the tax laws. On last Friday, I looked at it here on the program. Last Friday actually marked 1 year that President Tinubu signed the tax acts into law, and I had the DG of NECA, Adewale Smatoyori, they joined me here on the show last Friday. From where you sit and from what you're sitting, and as a business owner, how are you pricing the new tax laws into your business? Because we have it on good authority that the NRS is looking at still the 2025 laws in dealing with companies right now. How is that panning out for you and your colleagues?
You know, Nancy, unfortunately for us, we are not able to pass on taxes to consumers other than the taxes imposed directly on our services by the government. So whenever it's imposed on us is borne by us. So what we have done is to continue to look for how to improve our revenue so that the impact of the tax does not diminish the net return due to our shareholders. But having said that, a lot of work has gone into setting up the right structures to make sure we adhere to all tax rules and regulations. And what of this we do as a philosophy, as a policy, we make sure we keep to all the regulatory directives. So I believe that most institutions that are that are growth focused, that are strategic, we put in place structures, one, to adhere to all the rules, including the taxes of which you are responsible for deducting and remitting to the government. But one of the things I always say about taxes is that taxes are good, but growing the pie is better. The sense that if you grow a larger gross domestic product level value, then even if the tax rate is reduced to incentivize further productive activities, you will still get a lot more revenue than you will get if you continue to tax low economic activities. Okay. So taxes are good, but encouraging productive activities is better so that the pie we are baking is much bigger than what it is now. And then whatever fraction of it we give to the government will be higher and will be of minimal burden to us.
Let's talk about the NGX as we close. Still delivering strong returns. Last week, 49% year to date. Is this liquidity driven? What exactly is driving Nigeria's capital market as it is? Just briefly.
Well, what has driven the Nigerian capital market so far is the absence of comparative return from other asset classes. If you look at bond yield, just last week, the bond yield got back to close to 20. Treasury bills is still below 20. So investors are looking for where you have consistent high return, and the equity market has presented that the past 4 or 5 years. So that's one factor. And then the other factor is that a couple of those companies are giving good returns. But having said that, like they say, when the tide is high, it lifts every boat. There may be some stocks today that have some hot air in them that have actually risen beyond their intrinsic value because they were lifted up by the same high tide that lifted up good boats.
Okay. I think Chief Chukwu, let's leave it at that. I'm being tempted to ask more questions, but we've got to go, of course. So we'll keep it for another day. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure you go back to your management meeting. Thank you. Have a good day, a good week, and bye for now.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right, I've been speaking with Johnson Chukwu, who is the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Carry Asset Management, and we've been looking at a potpourri of economic issues that have come up, of course, in not just today, also in recent days. Trust us to give you in-depth analysis of all the information that has been bombarding economy, finance, business, as well as markets. I am Nancy Naji. Please join us again tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. now, not 11 a.m. And please tell someone to tell another person, to tell another person. I'll see you all again tomorrow, 10 a.m. I am Nancy Naji. Did I say that before? But take it again. Be the best you can be, but the change that you want to see. Bye for now.
Nigerian filmmaker Paul Cast is putting the finishing touches to his latest movie, Just the Two of Us. The project is due for release in April, and Cast says he's hoping it will hit big.
The storyline was mainly around a couple and how they were able to go through their journeys and go through lots of highs and lows, mainly trying to typify the kind of struggle that could come in when people are in relationships.
A former psychology student, Cast launched his movie career in 2019. In terms of output, Nigeria's film industry, or Nollywood, is the second largest in the world, behind India's Bollywood, producing over 1,000 movies annually. In December, the Nigerian movie A Tribe Called Judah became the first movie to earn 1 billion naira, equivalent to about $1.1 million at the domestic box office. Tribe Called Judah cast member Olumide Owori says the movie about a single mother and her 5 sons struggling to make ends meet is a common Nigerian story.
I think everybody that saw the movie just saw a bit of themselves in terms of just wanting to do whatever it takes for your mom to be happy and comfortable.
Cast says the success of the movie Lionheart, directed by Genevieve Naji, which became the first Nigerian film to stream on Netflix in 2019, also inspired filmmakers.
We actually didn't have avenues of distribution like that, but ever since Genevieve came up and did Lionheart, and it just opened up, the door to Netflix and other streaming platforms. It just made people see possibilities.
But filmmakers say access to funding is still a challenge and want Nigerian government and financial institutions to invest more in the movie industry.
There's been improvements in the cinematics, the cinematography, the lighting, so there are more opportunities, sound design, as opposed to before when it was just, get a camera, you have a story, you point and you shoot.
And the result and the growing market is good news for filmmakers like Paul Cast and millions of Nigerians who are waiting to see the next big film on their screens. Timothy Obiezu, VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
She had blisters all over. We had to call her.
You could hear a pin drop several times during this interview. The entire set was in tears, and it's the first time I think that I have cried on this show since 2021.
I pass out, I recuperate, I pass out. That's monthly.
Yeah.
That's like a norm. They know. When is my period moment, in my time of the month, they excuse me because I zone out.
My guest today is a celebrity who has never shared any of these stories before. From the time when armed robbers barged into their hotel room as they were shooting Omogeto 2.
There were about 20 guys that came. So 6 of them armed came in. The rest were outside. So we just started hearing, gunshots.
And threatened the life of herself and her dear friend, Funke Akindele. And she staked her life to protect Funke.
I was wearing something like this. I now said, Funke, be under this gown. Just like we knew that she was the one they were looking for. The guy just did, so Funke Funke just, underneath me, she just came out. They said, Boshwe! So she just ran to the generator side. The security that was already injured when they came in, just gave her a towel to wrap up.
Never spoken about it before. to the miscarriage.
A miscarriage that was huge, that almost claimed my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, before I had Jaden.
The fibroid surgery that almost took her life.
I had it in my uterus.
Yes.
So, but it was too big.
Right, so you couldn't pass
Bigger
through.
than the head of a baby.
Yeah.
So I couldn't. Doctor now told me that, so take it out. And it's a win-win thing.
Right.
Meaning that I could lose my, yes. 8 hours surgery, 8 hours.
And she had to finally make a choice between her life and her womb. Never shared it before.
I've never said it.
Yes, you never said
Anyway.
any of these. I'm glad
And
you
I'm
said
telling it now to you.
I'm glad.
I'll tell it more.
Thank you for trusting me with it. It's not just a story of tears and pain and trauma. It's also a true story of freedom, recovery, and victory. It will move you, maybe even to tears. It will inspire you, and it will make you fall in love with her. Bimba Thomas with Today, exclusively today.
Come for me.
It's very good to see you.
Thank you, Chidi. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. You know, I've only talked to you for a while. The thing that made me now research you happened many years ago. And
Okay.
it might even be strange to you.
Really?
It was the story that Funke told about the robbery during the Omogeto shoot.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, yes.
It
It was
happened
2020.
No, no.
20
It happened when we shot the second Omogeto.
Omogeto, yes.
Yes, that was 2013. 2013.
Oh, 2013, but she told it in 2020, I think. Oh, that's the first time I heard the story.
That you heard it.
Yes, yes. Also, it was in 2013.
Yes, because the first Omogeto was 2009.
Yes, yes,
Then we
yes.
shot 2 or 3 years after.
Yeah.
No, 2012, pardon me.
Right.
It happened while we were shooting Omogeto.
Right. I want to talk about
So-
why that struck me, but I want you to tell the story. What happened?
Okay. Funke Akindele.
Yeah.
My very, very wonderful friend.
I can see that.
My early days in the movie industry, she happened to be the one that, well, we go back from Unilag.
Right.
She studied law.
Yeah.
I studied creative arts.
Right,
So one of our friends brought us closer.
You moved from OOU to Unilag, yeah?
No.
Oh, right. So there was some news that said you went from OOU to Unilag.
No.
So you were in Unilag from the beginning?
No, I went to Olabisi Onabanjo University.
Oh, you
So
finished
I
one
moved.
degree?
No. It wasn't a degree. I moved
Okay,
when
right.
my name came out. So I
Oh,
moved
right.
to
Okay,
Unilag.
okay, good. Okay, I want to make sure of that, yeah.
Yes, that's it. So we met in Unilag
Right.
through my friend Tayo.
Okay.
Tayo Oduike. Sindodo, she's also an actor.
Secret Artist Sindodo,
Yes,
yes,
Secret Artist Sindodo, fantastic. So she brought us together
Right.
closer, And so while I was undergraduate of theater arts,
Yeah.
I would go and do, apprenticeship in Odunfa. So
Right, that was the caucus you were
yes,
in, yes,
exactly. So we got closer through that.
Right.
And in our early days of first production,
Yeah.
she would also consider me, Bimbo, I need you to be there. So we became very fond of each other.
Yeah.
We became very close, and Omogeto happened.
Right.
She trusted me with that role,
Yeah.
and to the glory of God, I nailed it.
You nailed it.
Thank God. The audience loved it, they embraced it, so we decided to do the second part. We were filming in Ebutemeta. And during that time, boys will come on set to come and disturb us because it's Togri movie, and they feel that we are depicting their everyday life.
Yes.
So on that very good day, we were there. It's my hood.
Yeah.
I grew up in Ebutemeta,
Yeah.
so they know me, and I would think that because I was there, they should accord me that honor. But not lie.
Survivor is survivor.
They showed themselves. So I think we brought some security, handmen to just come and, be there for us,
Right.
to allow us shoot
Freely.
Later that night, they came.
Wow.
So we had, several hotels within the environment, to stay. I was in another hotel, but Funke would always want me around. So she was in another hotel with some other crew and her family. So she said, Bimbo, no, you have to come here. Let's, do massage and all that. We usually do that after work. So I went there. I left Eniola Badmos in the other hotel.
Yeah.
So I joined her there. We were there normally. We play. We chit-chat to do a lot of things that night. So she did a massage first. Then it was my turn. It was around 12 midnight, almost 1, if I'm not mistaken. So we heard bang, noises. Ole, 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 ole. Like, ole. So, she peeped through the window. We didn't say nothing. So I quickly opened the door to, Funke is this person that is always like, no, let's see, what do we do? I like, God, what can we do? What can we do? So we started praying. Right. Funke is a prayer warrior, if you know her now. Yeah. So we started praying and we're like, agitated, fear, what do we do? So I like, Funke, you are the face here. Yeah. We had this, our Mogeto look, the mohawk, the very colorful hair. Yes. I said, okay, with the masseuse, let's put Funke under the bed so that if they don't see her, maybe we'll be safe. Right. They might not know us like that, you understand? We tried to carry the bed. Yeah. The bed couldn't fit in Funke. Right. So what do? We were wearing the bang. So we now moved to the bathroom. So I used my gown. I was wearing something like this, not this, Yes. So I now said, Funke, be under this gown. So she was there, and I knelt down there, and we were praying. The other prayer warrior. That's the masseuse. Yes. She was praying in tongues. I love it. Funke was praying in tongues. I love it. Me, I just come in Christ. I don't sabi speak. I don't sabi speak in tongues. But I was telling God, if this cup can pass over us, I'll be happy. But we were there. Yeah. So now they came first. Right. They couldn't break in. Right. So when they went to another place, maybe the other wing of the hotel, we came out. We were praying. Funke, she was able to gather momentum. Let's call. We called few people. We called Oluomo. We called Obaile Gushi. We called few people for help to come to our rescue. So Obaile Gushi said, don't worry. I'll send my team down. We called Kaka. Kaka is from Odunfa, where I, did my apprenticeship. Yes. So Kaka is someone that knows everybody, like a connected uncle. Right. So Kaka called Pansi Station. So they were on ground floor. We didn't know. We just did what we could do at the time. There. So they were back. While we were doing all that, they were back. Right. So we came back. We went back to the bathroom and we did what we were doing. Yeah. So we were there praying, and they were able to break in the second time. Right. So when they came in, Funkeda. Just like we knew that she was the one they were looking for. So we were like that. But it's okay. Funkeda, I don't know. Funkeda, I don't know. The third time, the guy just did. So Funke Jadi. Funke just, underneath me, she just came out. And they were like, Bata Sibi, or whether, they did all of that. Yeah. They said, Boshwe. That moment in the bathroom, I wasn't myself. I didn't know what was in me. I wanted to, break from the cover of the closet and, just hit the guy. At that moment, I wasn't thinking the repercussions. So I don't know what held me back. And they said she should put her clothes. They now said, take us to your car. So they drag her down, pardon me. So they took her to the car, and we were there, shivering. We didn't know what to do. So, I still got that, say, I'll be on ghetto now. So I came out of the room, tiptoeing, checking around what could happen and all of that. Yeah. So I got downstairs. I just heard her singing, Imi Ghetto. I was born in the ghetto. I didn't know what was happening. So why is she singing? So I was able to peep through the window. They asked her to dance, and be singing. And she was doing it. She did like this. She held herself. And she was singing and she was going. So I saw a lot of people at the reception. I was like, what can we do? How can we rescue Funke? It's just 6 of them. What can we do? What can we do? We didn't know that they were remaining outside. There were about 20 guys that came. So 6 of them harmed came in. The rest were outside. So I saw Olumide, Aremo Afolayan. She was also there. Gabriel. All of us said, what can we do? We cannot do anything. Let's just watch. Nothing will happen to Funke. So we kept praying. So we just started hearing, gunshots. There were fire. I don't know, maybe from our own team that came or something. It was later that we got to know that, Panti team came, Emporium team from Obaile Gushi came. Right. It was solid outside. Right. So Funke just ran. I was following her gradually, and she just, I don't know how she was able to tell God, I don't know what you want to do at this point. She just ran to the generator side, and the security that was already injured when they came in just gave her a towel to wrap up. We were sat there, you know, different ordeal, somebody that is shot, a pastor that was rushed to the hospital, all of us in that reception. We didn't know what to do, whether to cry, whether to faint, we're just there. About 20, 30 people at the time in the reception. But thank God, months later, we heard that they grabbed all of them. Yes, they killed some even. Yes. The particular guys that stormed. Yes. And I was happy.
Yes.
Because I would have done something and maybe the guy would have killed me. I was ready to.
At that moment?
Yes, at the moment. But thank God.
Thank God. When we are growing up, we have a picture of the life we want to live. And society has told us that the way to do it is you get married, you have a child. And then sometimes, even though these things don't really matter, because what matters is the kind of life you are living and whether you are joyful. But sometimes when the picture we have doesn't come out in reality, we struggle. Was there a struggle like that for you, that you didn't fit the image that either you had for yourself or society had for you? Was it tough to navigate it at that time privately?
Chidi, you know how to get people to talk. So, why did I make the promise that I want to make that part private? It was because even my parents, apart from, you know, societal pressure or even you know, trying to, because I started well. I'm still good, thank God.
Yes.
You know, so along the line, like, me. You know, you question yourself.
Yes.
How can I tell that?
To your parents.
So I just said, you know what? I'll shield.
Right.
I'll shield. So that's why I did that.
So shielding helped you navigate that whole thing.
If I don't talk about it, I won't regret it so much.
Right.
And the fact that, you know, I had prepared myself, you know, for motherhood. Not like it's what I want at the time, because I wasn't thinking, I feel that God's time is the best. And before that time, I had a very big ordeal, a miscarriage that was huge, that almost claimed my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, before I had Jaden. So when I got pregnant, I just like, I'll give it all it takes.
I get it. And honestly,
and that now happened. Okay, the father was not like, oh, okay. Not like I don't want to go there.
Yeah, we get that. But then everything that's what you mean, that the things that were happening around that time,
you understand,
made you realize the best way is just to hold my story
together.
Yes.
Till I'm healed.
Till you're healed. And then the healing came.
Yes, healing came.
How did it come? Did it come because of that shielding, or was there a process? Was it prayer? Was it your parents? Was it counseling? What led to the feeling of healing?
Okay, first it was the child. Looking at that boy.
Yeah.
God has blessed me with that boy. It's a blessing. So recently, I sat with a coach.
Right.
Coach Ifeoma. And I didn't know I had so much bottled in. You know, I thought that I'm free. I thought I was free until I sat with her. So I gained a total freedom. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm good now.
That's when you realize that he was part of the healing process. That's so powerful. So thank you for sharing the parts that you've shared with us. And I think it's such a beautiful moment.
It is.
You know, recently, I think your son was on Masoyibo.
Yes, it was.
And everybody just fell in love with
Yes.
You know, and just to see, you know, it's how, as I was just saying, I was thinking to myself, there was a word that was coming to my head, how there was a word, it came to me as a song, but how something you didn't expect as a blessing becomes a blessing in your life and heals you. Yeah.
I discovered that, you know, a long time ago, and that was why I committed to motherhood, even at the expense of my career.
That's heavy.
Yes.
And it wasn't a tough choice to make.
It wasn't tough.
Right.
Don't forget that there was no second person to be at. So I was giving it all. This show. Oh my God.
Well, thank you for sharing with me. Thank you for sharing with me. And you've never shared this anywhere before, as far as I've seen, that in 2021 or so, you dealt with fibroids. Yes. Again, it's amazing, it's amazing people like you. If people think they know anything about you, but you share only when you want to share. Because a lot of celebrities always say, and I'm like, no, there are people who, if they know how to...
I give the side I want you to know.
Yes. So before I ask about that, let me ask about that later. I want to ask how you do it. But what was the experience of dealing with fibroids like?
Okay, so I can say that ever since when I realized I'm a lady, I've been dealing with heavy flow.
Right.
I just feel that my mom experienced it. Right. My sister, so maybe it's a genetic thing for us.
For the family.
Genetics, generic, whatever it is, I don't know.
Both generic and
English
genetic.
is not
Yes.
For us, and I deal with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go 14 days.
Wow.
I go 9 days. All of my doctors will tell me this, that. So after I gave birth, I expected it to have at least, and now, at least God has given me the chance to have a baby.
Yes.
3 months into motherhood, I started again.
3 months after motherhood, wow.
Yes, 3 months. I started my periods again. And it was even heavier than it was. That's when I knew that my shege has started. It was serious. I pass out, I recuperate, I pass out. That's monthly.
Yeah.
That's like a norm. They know. Wow. When is my period moment, in my time of the month, they excuse me because I zone out.
Oh.
Yes. Around midnight, I just noticed that, there was a clotted, thing coming out.
Right.
So I went in the bathroom. So it now looked like I was going to bet it.
Right.
So I was like, what's happening?
Right.
So, and it was, painful.
Right.
Severe pain. So I had to call doctor. I snapped it to him. Can you come? Is there someone that can drive you? I said, nobody. And there's no way I will be able to sit with what just like, the head of a baby is right there.
Yes.
So, I said, okay, use something, where that. So my mother in the Lord was on the phone. So we prayed through from 1 till about 2:30.
Wow.
After 2:30, then there was gush.
Right, and there was still pain and there was still a gushing of blood.
Yes, there was. So we were praying, and I just noticed that along the line, the blood, reduced, and I was feeling tired, and I slept. My sister was there with the phone. My mother-in-law was on the phone.
Right.
The doctor kept checking.
Right.
So when I woke up like 5:30, we just moved to the hospital.
Right.
The doctor just said, I will admit you,
right.
and it's time. You'll be running.
Yes.
Because me, I fear surgery.
Me self.
So I was there, and we were waiting on the right time to check the state and all of it. So when we checked, I had it in my uterus.
Right. Oh, right.
Yes, and that's like deadly. It was big. So it was, at the time I wanted to bet it, it was that.
Yes.
So, but it was too big.
Right, so you couldn't pass
Bigger
through.
than the head of a baby.
Yes.
So I couldn't. So, doctor now told me that at this time, you must prepare yourself for this because we'll take it out. And it's a win-win thing, right? Meaning that I could lose my, yes. I said, so it was a tussle. It was a tussle. So we did the surgery,
Right.
and that wasn't the issue.
Okay.
It was after the surgery,
Right.
because I had passed out.
Yeah.
Normally they would sedate me,
Yes.
and so before the surgery, the worry was we couldn't find veins, so the anesthesia was like, okay, we're looking for it around. So it was my jugular.
Right.
I didn't even know they could inject in the jugular.
Right,
so it was there that we found the right vein to numb me.
Oof, this
You
is
understand?
a lot.
Yes. Then I have pains in my spine
Right.
because I took epidural while I was, in the US.
Right.
So that already disturbed me.
Right.
And so it was hard for them to go to my spine to numb. So they were looking for areas to numb. So they numbed some parts and they came to my jugular, they did.
Right.
So I was already dead before the deaths. so I'd passed on. I passed out. So now, after the surgery, it was hours. We took like 8 hours. It was a serious one.
It was an 8-hour surgery.
8 hour surgery, 8 hours. 8 hours. So when I came out, I didn't recuperate on time. I didn't come out of the sedation
state.
Yes, I didn't come out of the state.
Yes.
It was at the moment that the ventilator they gave me, maybe I didn't, something shall happen.
Yeah.
That was it. Thank God that, they were still in the theater.
Right.
They brought me out into the room.
Right, and
so
left you there.
with the oxygen there
Yes.
and waiting that, okay,
When you come to.
then they can then come and then do every other thing. They've cleaned me up and I was there. Then I went. It was my sisters that were in the room. They were calling me. Auntie Wimbo, maybe after like 1 hour or 40 minutes, they just noticed that I didn't open my eyes. Auntie Wimbo, like they called the nurse. They were rushing. They thought I was gone because even the doctor, it was later when I woke up, they told me how the doctor went into series of prayer.
While doing the surgery.
Why reviving me?
Why reviving you when this happened?
Yes.
So wait, what if your sisters were not in the room at the time?
No, of course there'll be a nurse. There'll be a nurse. They were going in and out, just for me to come out,
first.
and then be fine.
So the doctor was praying during
the time that I went like that. You see me now.
Yeah.
I'm like a convenience size 18, 16 thereabout. I was looking 12, 14. I was in hospital for about 1 month. 3 weeks plus. Yes.
Wow.
Because my healing took a while.
Of course.
My healing took a while.
Complexity.
Yeah. But thank God today.
Thank God. You don't
free.
look it.
I'm free. I'm good.
I love it. Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God. Oh my God. Congrats.
Thank you. Yes. It's truly congratulations. I deserve it. Sincerely. Yes.
Oh my God. There is no way, unless you had said it, nobody would have thought it. Nobody would have.
No, but maybe my family.
Yes,
my
of course. Apart from
like
those who were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no complication from it because, you were talking about the 50-50.
Yeah, there was complication.
Right.
I lost one thing for safety.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
But thank God still.
Thank God.
Because some people would not even have had the option. Some people would not have had the option.
That's true. That's true. But I'm happy.
You're happy. You're happy. Thank God. This has been one of the most beautiful interviews that I have hosted. I thank you for giving me the gift of your story.
Thank you.
I don't take it for granted.
I'm happy to share it.
Thank you.
Thank you for this day.
Thank you.
Nigerian filmmaker Paul Cast is putting the finishing touches to his latest movie, Just the Two of Us. The project is due for release in April, and Cast says he's hoping it will hit big.
The storyline was mainly around a couple and how they were able to go through their journeys and go through lots of highs and lows, mainly trying to typify the kind of struggle that could come in when people are in relationships.
A former psychology student, Cast launched his movie career in 2019. In terms of output, Nigeria's film industry, or Nollywood, is the second largest in the world, behind India's Bollywood, producing over 1,000 movies annually. In December, the Nigerian movie A Tribe Called Judah became the first movie to earn 1 billion naira, equivalent to about $1.1 million at the domestic box office. Tribe Called Judah cast member Olumide Oworu says the movie about a single mother and her 5 sons struggling to make ends meet is a common Nigerian story.
I think everybody that saw the movie just saw a bit of themselves in terms of just wanting to do whatever it takes for your mom to be happy and comfortable.
Cast says the success of the movie Lionheart, directed by Genevieve Naji, which became the first Nigerian film to stream on Netflix in 2019, also inspired filmmakers.
We actually didn't have avenues of distribution like that. But ever since Genevieve came up and did Lionheart, and it just opened up, the door to Netflix and other streaming platforms. It just made people see possibilities.
But filmmakers say access to funding is still a challenge and want Nigerian government and financial institutions to invest more in the movie industry.
There's been improvements in the cinematics, the cinematography, the lighting, so there are more opportunities, sound design, as opposed to before when it was just, get a camera, you have a story, you point and you shoot.
And the result and the growing market is good news for filmmakers like Paul Cast and millions of Nigerians who are waiting to see the next big film on their screens. Timothy Obiezu, VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Hello, and welcome to The Teacher, the program that celebrates teachers, explores the issues shaping education and the future of learning in Nigeria. I am Inyang Philip. In today's edition, we examine a question that concerns students, parents, employers, and policymakers alike. Are tertiary institutions producing skilled graduates ready for the workplace, or are they simply producing certificate holders? But first, we celebrate excellence in teaching. Teachers remain the backbone of every successful nation. Through their dedication, sacrifice, and commitment, they shape the future of leaders, innovators. Today, we recognize an exceptional educator whose image goes beyond the classroom. Our Teacher of the Week, Mr. Ndiaye Bright Stephen, a mathematics and bookkeeping teacher from the First Baptist Academy, Port Harcourt, Rivers State.
Something that inspires is something that has motivated me. You have to be patient with the children. They are coming from different backgrounds. They have their own personal principles and principles that were passed on to them by parents. And those principles sometimes may conflict with yours. So you have to be patient and try to see things from the eyes of the child. Financial challenge, I think it's time the government look into this. Teachers are role models. They are nation builders. They deserve to have a salary structure that befits them as educators, as nation builders. They deserve a salary structure. A lot of times you see teachers coming to school and their mind is placed somewhere else, financial problems, and they are not able to communicate efficiently because they have so much on their mind, and this is tied to finance.
Now to our documentary feature. Across Nigeria, thousands of students graduate from universities, polytechnics, and colleges every year. Yet many employers continue to complain that graduates lack the practical skills needed in today's workplace. Our next report investigates this growing concern.
For many young people, gaining admission into a tertiary institution represents the first step toward a brighter future. Families invest significant resources, students dedicate years of study, and the institutions proudly award certificates as proof of academic achievement. But an important question remains: is education today truly focused on teaching and learning? Or has the certificate become the ultimate goal? Across many tertiary institutions, there is a growing concern that the pursuit of certificates is overshadowing the acquisition of practical knowledge and skills. While graduates leave with impressive credentials, employers often report difficulties finding candidates who can effectively apply what they learned in real-world situations. Education was never intended to be a mere collection of examinations, grades, and certificates. At its core, teaching is about developing critical thinking, creativity, problem-solving abilities, and professional competence. It is about preparing individuals to contribute meaningfully to society and economy. Yet, several challenges continue to affect this mission. Overcrowded classrooms, outdated curricula, limited practical facilities, inadequate industry exposure, and insufficient funding can weaken the quality of teaching and learning. As a result, students may focus more on passing examinations than mastering essential skills. The consequences are significant. Graduates may struggle to meet workplace demands, while employers spend additional time and resources retraining new employees. This mismatch contributes to unemployment, underemployment, and concerns about the overall quality of higher education. However, solutions exist. Stronger partnerships between tertiary institutions and industry can provide students with practical experience before graduation. Modernized curricula can align learning with current economic and technological realities. Increased investment in laboratories, workshops, digital learning tools, and teacher development can also enhance educational outcomes. Most importantly, society must begin to value competence alongside certification. A certificate should not merely represent attendance or examination success. It should serve as evidence of knowledge, skills, character, and readiness for professional life. As tertiary institutions continue to shape the next generation, the challenge is clear: to move beyond producing certificate holders and focus on producing capable, innovative, and productive graduates. Because in the end, while a certificate may open a door, it is learning, competence, and skill that determine how far a person can go.
The documentary raises important questions about the future of higher education and graduate employability in Nigeria. To discuss this issue further, I am joined by Professor Obunde Benshima Benjamin of Bingham University, Cairo, a professor of accounting and finance, currently the Dean of Faculty of Administration and Management. Welcome to the program, sir.
It's a pleasure.
So, as you see in the documentary, many employers in today's Nigeria complain about having graduates with beautiful certifications, beautiful results, but yet they either lack workplace etiquette or workplace discipline, time management, or even knowledge on how to deliver the basic skills that they're being employed for. What do you have to say about this?
It starts with the curriculum developers. There are so many fields that are being taught in various universities, polytechnic, that the curriculum does not include much on the practicability or to be our skill, impact us practical skill. They are more of theory, especially in the university system. There are some in polytechnics and colleges. They have some aspect of the practice. But the problem is the model of teaching, because the unstable system of education and causes that. And if something is to be done for those graduates to come out with the requisite skill, then the universities and the polytechnic and colleges must enlarge the curriculum that during the years of study, there should be aspect of practical application of those, what they're learning in the class, and go out there maybe in studio and then practicalize this and demonstrate it. So when they come out, they'll be able to be skillful in the job.
Based on this now, do you agree, or do you think that tertiary institutions should be assessed based on that criteria? That means they should be assessed based on how well they are able to instill this workplace etiquettes onto their graduates, and rather than just the numbers of degrees. You know, I know they have this, on every certificate, there's this statement that goes in character and discipline that comes into every certificate. So probably, maybe it should also evaluate.
And gratitude for the timely intervention.
At first, when I applied for the SuperDec bursary payment, I was not expecting that huge amount of money. At first, I thought it's just normal student bursary that everybody applied.
A very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Environment Today on Africa Independent Television. It's your program where we x-ray environmental and public health issues that confront you and I daily. My name is Nkoli Omodu, your regular host of the show.
For most of our history, humans lived in harmony with nature.
But we have shared in the balance, exploiting our planet for product and wealth.
Creating a climate catastrophe, driving species to extinction, and polluting our land, sea, and air. We must go from harming our planet to healing it. We must protect what we have.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, where the black gold continues to flow and fuel Africa's large.
There are some courses, maybe 6 weeks or a whole semester, you go for sideways to the institution that led to your field to learn the practical. Like in medicine, after that, it's almost housemanship for almost 1 year before you'll be licensed to be a medical doctor. Nurses go to hospital, throughout the training, they're in the hospital, and then it's other field of the study that are yet to do that they need to include that you can't just be in the university for 4 or 5 years without going to the industry relate to your field for an internship or for industrial attachment or partnership with and that partnership should not just be restricted to the student. The lecturers, the professor or the lecturer in those institutions too should be given opportunity to go for sabbatical leave in those institutions to know what is there, so that they too they can come back and lecture. Because there's this all those challenge that every professor, when he's going for sabbatical, is going to another university. I don't know how many professors are gone for sabbatical in CBN or Federal Inland Revenue Service or Security and Exchange Commission or any industry that relate to his field, so that he can go and know what is really happening in CBN for 1 year or sabbatical, what is happening in Security or Exchange, or go to Stock Exchange to know what is happening there, so that he too, if he comes and is teaching the student, he'll be making reference to practical. And then the students too, maybe 1 semester or 3 months, should be distributed, especially because there are limited field of study in the university that had that provision for cyber engineering. They have it, let's say mass comm, because there was a time I came to this studio, some students of BIHA were here. on industrial attachment after they were greeting me. So they send them to overall radio station, any communication media, and then the lecturers go there to supervise them. Right now, one of my colleagues is in law school. They are break for 5 months to court attachment, 3 months chamber for 2 months, making 5.
Wow.
So the months they are spending in the practical in court, and there's more than the months they were in their teaching. Then after that, they will write exam, and then when they come, they will now know the practice. So there are so many, every field of the study in every tertiary institution now should have a provision for practical ability. Not student, even if it's in the polytechnic, you can't spend 2-3 years without going for an internship, and having any partnership with the industry.
Let's change the narrative now. Let's look at the graduates themselves. And we all know how it's like in our society, the emphasis on, have you gone to school? Where's your certificate? Even on the applications that you make, there are standards given. You must have it this, you must have it that. So how much of that pressure has made our graduates ignore skill acquisition and focus more on just getting the paper?
It's the demand from our society. Nigerian society is a certificate-driven society. Because right now, even in government agencies, after you have spent many years in the agency, up to 20 on the job, you have everything there. One day, maybe there's a promotion coming up, and maybe there are two vacancies for directorship, and the people who are qualified are more than 8 or 10. And now, after reaching interview or whatever, they'll be looking for where they can net. Maybe one has a master's degree, and the others, maybe she just came in here with a BSc only. So they'll say, okay, so this one came for this year, she had developed this further. Then they will give the person that has master's. So that one too to be challenged, they will go to the institute, to the university or Polytechnic to get a master's. So in these days, they are even pushing for PhD. I would say that what does PhD have to do to be a permanent sector or director? You are not in the university. Because in the university, every certificate, your promotion stagnate. If you are in the university and you not got a PhD, mean you cannot be a professor or whatever. But in private organizations and civil service where it should be on-the-job training, certificate courses you are attending, practical things you are developing to get promotion. But there now too, certificate is what you. So now, at a point, for professional courses, you must belong to a professional body. Maybe if you are an accountant and you have been there, you are not a chartered accountant, you are not a certified national accountant with ANA or ACCA, maybe your promotion will stop at a place. So the person will have to go and write and get ICANN. So when all of them have ICANN, and the vacancy, one of them told me that, Prof, for me to move to grade level 14, I'm really a charter, but they say I must bring another certificate. That's why I came here to do this postgraduate diploma. So whatever it takes, you know. So the society, the Nigerian economic system too, Cherry Society, is certificate-driven. People who are national or whatever, but they will go in there, big people, because certificate doesn't bring money on the table. It's what you can do, what your hand can do. But some need title, because if you go in a place and you are never say you are Dr. This, then it means you will not be recognized, because the issue of say chief, this is no longer, now people are aspiring to be called doctor and this. So the society encourage that certificate. And most of our institutions, even in public sector, where ordinarily issue of certificate should not be there, should be on-the-job training, on-the-job experience. Maybe I start to be corrected. It's only in the judiciary I never heard a retired chief justice or the federation having PhD or masters. With the first degree, you can go through and be learning any experience about the experience, how you can design judgment, and that push you to become a Supreme Court judge or whatever, except those that are in the university system. But in other field of the study, even in civil service or whatever, if you see them going to all kinds of institutions to get higher degree, if not that,
they are
stagnated, which is not supposed to be so.
Okay. All right then. So then, looking ahead, straight into the future, what do you think the federal government, educational institutions, parents, and society at large? What do they need to bring into the table to ensure that the graduates value skill acquisition, value competence over just the diploma?
One, federal government should strengthen the educational system by adequate funding. Both federal and state should adequate funding, and through there, the teachers too should provide adequate incentive tools that they can educate those children very well. Because parents who are paying for these children, they want value for their money. So that if their children comes up, they should come out with requisite skill that is practical oriented. So government should, that's why over the years, as Academic Staff Union will be striking poor facilities, so on and so forth. Also, the incentive, while in this same Nigeria, or go in the same market, but the wage administration in Nigeria is sector-based. Maybe what pay is CBN different, what pay is SEC or whatever. Why the university lecturer and the teacher, his wage is not something to write, or sometimes cannot, what they say, he cannot take him home, what he pays. So the motivation, even sometimes, those skills, those things are put in place, but if the teacher to apply this thing, the motivation is not there, they may not be able to give that their best. So as in various institutions, even the licensed private university, they should one of the conditions that they will put all those things in place so that students, graduate, parents will be happy that I sent my student in social university and they come out more skillful. Like in those days, the related old generation university, if there's an interview, a graduate or UI, a graduate or ABU, a graduate IFE or UNILA is there, and any graduate from there comes, they will pick the person first because they know what they have. So if it's just a young...
The school name carries
so if the young university, they say, maybe if it is a young university, might have a first class. And maybe God for you, they will not, let's pick this first class or this university. Let's see whether it can defend or whatever. So government should fund the institution, the tertiary institution, both state, federal and state, so that with well-equipped, the entrepreneurship center should be established in every tertiary institution so that no graduate leave the university without a skill. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Obunde Benshima Benjamin of Bingham University, Cairo, the Dean of Faculty, Administration and Management. Thank you so much for your insight with us. We've learned a lot from you, and we look forward to having you again to discuss further institutional issues and the way forward to taking our teachers further. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
I beg your pardon?
I am not in the mood to cook this morning. As a matter of fact, I might not be in the mood to cook until further notice. But you got home from work early enough to have rested now.
I'm not in the mood for conjugal duties tonight, Stephanie.
What the heck does that even mean?
I think I look great, Mom. Look at me.
You don't look great. You actually look like a top wine tapper. If you're a man, will you toast yourself? Look at what kind of trouser is this one?
A smart man knows that a woman is way beyond her physical appearance.
Men are attracted by what they see.
I was sure I heard them talking about me because I heard my name.
So did you bother asking them what they were talking about? You?
I did. Victor said yes, and Edward said no. I followed Edward to his office to inquire further, and he said they were not talking about me.
Seen through this organization. The regulations here are too stiff. They may appear like a thriving huge firm. They do have a lot of institutional flaws.
Unless we're in the same boat, we're here to work.
You sent someone to spy on my company. You managed to steal my numbers thanks to your little spy.
Were you secretly watching Mr. Shaw?
Of course not. I'm not interested in him. Do you think you're so cool?
Yeah, pretty much so.
Do you think many girls will fall for you?
It seems they do, yeah. Hold on a little longer. A long vacation awaits after this project is completed.
How many times have I told you, homemade? It just never sticks in your head, does it?
Right now, whatever stops me from reaching my goals, I swear I'll bounce back quickly. That's because you're a force to be reckoned with.
Hello everyone and welcome to this new edition of Business Africa.
Thanks for joining us on AIT Report. I am Olamide Ario. Let's begin the bulletin with updates of evacuation of Nigerians from South Africa. The federal government has announced that it will resume the evacuation of Nigerian nationals from South Africa today, Monday. According to a statement by Kimiebi Momotimi Bienfa, spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, an Air Peace aircraft will depart Nigeria at 3 p.m. and is expected to land in South Africa at about 9 p.m. local time. The return flight is scheduled to leave South Africa at 12 midnight and is expected to arrive at Muritala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos on Tuesday morning. A total of 271 Nigerians are expected to be brought back on the evacuation flight. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said further details will be provided as the operation progresses. Legal practitioners have raised concerns over the state of Nigeria's democracy, warning that declining trust in the electoral process and judiciary could weaken democratic governance if urgent reforms are not pursued. The concerns were expressed during the public lecture themed Electoral Democracy in Nigeria and the 2026 Electoral Act. The lawyers stressed that legal practitioners must uphold justice, integrity, and the rule of law, noting that confidence in key institutions, especially the judiciary, must be restored.
Our theme for this year's St. Thomas More Public Lecture is chosen with the personality of our patron saint in mind and with the intention that every lawyer, especially Catholic lawyers, who should keep the fire of social justice aflame at all times. We cannot keep quiet. The least a lawyer can do in a society challenged by inconsistencies, both unintended and deliberate, is to speak out. We must continue to act as the moral compass of the society.
Other stakeholders warned against the growing influence of politics in the courts, saying judicial processes have at times undermined electoral credibility, urging Nigerians to remain active in elections as voter participation is crucial to protecting democracy.
This year's theme is captioned Electoral Democracy in Nigeria and the 2026 Electoral Act. The Electoral Act is part of and the path to leadership that has become the bane of not just our country, but our continent in general. We must therefore interrogate this threshold, the Electoral Act, in order to determine the quality of leaders we elect and ensure confidence in the process by which such leaders emerge to become the true choices and desires of the majority of our people.
We should never become architects of electoral fraud, or supporters, or perpetrators, or active assistants. because we are just as guilty.
The stakeholders agreed that Nigeria's democratic future depends on stronger institutions, ethical leadership, and citizens committed to defending democratic values. As preparations for the 2027 general elections gather momentum, Christian clerics have been urged to play a more active role in promoting credible leadership and encouraging citizens to make informed electoral choices. The call was made by Reverend Father Andrew Dewan of Plateau State University at the gathering of Catholic priests at St. Augustine's Major Seminary in Jos, Plateau State, where they reflected on their role in Nigeria's democratic process ahead of the 2027 polls.
Catholic priests gathered at the St. Augustine Major Seminary, Jos, to deliberate on national issues, with the 2027 general elections taking center stage. The meeting focused on the church's prophetic role in promoting good governance, strengthening democracy, and encouraging responsible civic participation. Guest speaker, Reverend Father Andrew Dewan, said politics is too important for the clergy to remain passive observers, stressing that religious leaders have a moral obligation to speak on issues that shape the nation's future and to guide citizens towards making electoral decisions.
The only way we can guarantee and ensure good governance is for citizens to understand clearly that they are in a position to bring on board the people of their choice. What the Catholic Church does is to facilitate, it does not determine.
In his contribution, Reverend Father Louis Ngari said the theme of the gathering was carefully chosen to contribute to deepening of Nigeria's democracy by promoting active citizen participation and responsible leadership.
Unfortunately, for a very long time, democracy has not given us good leaders in Nigeria, and that has made many Nigerians and Christians to develop apathy for the democratic process. But we have a civic responsibility as leaders to make sure that we tell our people that there is still hope.
The priests were also urged to speak out against social vices, promote justice and accountability, and encourage their parishioners to be patriotic and actively participate in the democratic process. Walkers Kwakfoot, AIT News, Jos.
The federal lawmaker representing Ikwo South in the House of Representatives, Comrade Chinedu Oga, has distributed farm inputs and cash support to hundreds of farmers in his constituency. The empowerment, which took place at the weekend, is part of effort to boost food production and align with Governor Francis Imufuru's agricultural transformation agenda in Ebonyi State. Oga says the intervention will help constituents improve their yields and reduce costs this farming season.
Hundreds of rural farmers, traditional rulers, and members of the political class gathered at Blessed Martin's College of Nursing Science, Ohatekwe, Amago, in Ikwo local government area of Ebonyi State, for the 2026 edition of Comrade Chinedu Oga's pre-farming season inputs distribution. In keeping with the lawmakers' annual program, over 5,000 bags of fertilizer and high-yield rice seedlings were handed out, alongside 50 million naira in transportation support for constituencies. Both the Speaker of Ebonyi State House of Assembly, Moses Odunwa, and stakeholders at the event commended Comrade Oga for the milestone intervention, urging farmers to use the inputs to boost food security.
It is not just an input, but we love it more because it is coming at the right time. It will be properly utilized because we are predominantly farmers. And our honest prayer is that the good Lord will continue to encourage Right Honorable Comrade Chinedu Oga as he delivers the dividends of democracy to the good people of Ezza South and Ikwo and the entire Ebonyi State. Sincerely urge all beneficiaries of this inputs today to sell this input.
For the host, Comrade Oga, the distribution of the farm inputs and financial support is meant to complement the state government's efforts and reduce financial burden on farmers this planting season.
What we are doing today is to encourage and support the good administration of our leader, a man that will show us the way. Our leader, Right Honorable Francis Ogbonnyewuifuru, with his lovely wine. If our governor is not giving us support at the National Assembly, we wouldn't have attracted this thing to his people. We have different assorted type of fertilizer.
We are doing this to support our constituencies.
Beneficiaries who spoke to AIT applauded the timely intervention.
We help me to have a high productivity of crops. And again, it will reduce costs. I'm no longer go to market to buy these things.
And he has been doing it. This OON, Chifonga, has been doing it. They have been helping us.
Their event also featured free medical services